we've had the former Premier Bob Carr, and on this day in 2003 he celebrated his return of a third term as the Labor Premier. And I was talking to him, and lo and behold, he lives across the road from the Love God, who contributed to the continuous call team at varying stages, known also in some quarters as the Love Muscle, but he's on the line right now. G'day, Love.
Good morning to you, Ray. What a beautiful surprise to hear your dulcet tones throughout the radio, and to be able to dance with you on the airwaves again is a dream worth living for.
Where have you been?
Well, I've been a journeyman of broadcasting for some time, as you know, and I've been spreading love from regional stations for some time, but I've finally found my calling. I am currently the mornings announcer on Coles Radio in Indooroopilly. Just 1 second, I have an announcement. There's a clean-up in aisle 3. Back to your shopping. How have you been, Ray? Are you feeling okay?
Well, no, I've missed you.
I get concerned about you.
I've been missing you at night, and so have many rugby league players who used to phone you. I'm told, Mark Piggy Riddell tells me that Gaz and the boys from St George Illawarra used to phone you quite regularly to get requests for their partners.
They were a funny bunch. Can I tell when the rugby league players have been out on the motivational liquids? Normally started at about 6 o'clock, and about 90 minutes later they start their phone calls, occasionally tepid and nervous about sharing their thoughts and feelings. But by 10 p.m, by the time I was on the air, they were there to tell their tales of love. Sorry, just 1 second. Attention shoppers, thank you so much for joining us here today in Coles and Indooroopilly. Vegemite is on special today. Vegemite. Vitamin B. Sorry, back to you, Ray.
Listen, love, I can't take it anymore. I believe that the Love Muscle God lives adjacent to Paul Murray, the very talented Sky News host. So perhaps I can leave the Love God Muscle there, along with the Premier, and return to the real thing. Is that you, Paul Murray?
1 second, I'll connect you. How are you, mate?
You lunatic. You're mad.
Oh,
you know what?
It was rusty, but we got there eventually.
No, listen. I was over there recently to do something with Peter Gleeson, and I saw one of the boys there, and we were talking about something, I forget who it was, and they said, I used to love listening to that stuff on the footy, and that stuff with the Premier. He said, you played that recent. I said, you know who that is, don't you? He said, I've got no idea. I said, it's Paul Murray. They said, no. No. I said, yeah. I said, go find him here somewhere. Go and ask him to do it. It's him.
Oh, it was nice to be able to do stuff that doesn't create complaints. I'll give you the tip. I don't get many death threats for jokes I've told on the continuous call team over the years.
Well, it's funny. You know how long ago that was? I looked at the calendar in the computer. 14 years ago that was. 2004.
Well, it's aged well, hasn't it?
15 years ago. Well, it'll be 15 years come September, because it was after the grand final, I think, from memory, or thereabouts.
Well, I think it's very kind of you to give up your spot in the Commercial Radio Hall of Fame to me and my characters. I think it's a lovely gesture, Ray. You're
as long as you didn't make
a
speech as long as I did recently, but anyway, that's another story. Stop
but in all seriousness, like all those years ago, it was just funny. Like the Bob Carr impersonation. I've got to tell this quick story.
Go on.
Who remembers what election it was? But I was working at Nova at the time, and Carr loved that I did his voice. Anyway, he says, all right, to jump in the car with me. So there I am. I'm sitting in the back seat of the Premier's limo driving off to some job because I was a news reporter. And with no disrespect to Mrs. Carr, he's on the phone to his wife, Helena. Yep, good. Yep, get the socks. And he hands the phone to me and says, do me. So I'm doing Bob Carr's impersonation voice to his actual wife, and the real bloke's pissing himself in the front seat. What a life!
I'm glad he's got a sense of you. Look, one of my old mates from radio, Kevin Kaler, has just sent me a note, and he says, you might remember this, but just before the opening of the 2000 Olympics, Bob was being interviewed by Andrew Denton on Triple M. At the conclusion of the interview, Andrew yelled the mantra, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! And, of course, you expect Bob to say, oi, 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 but Bob said, exactly.
I reckon nothing gives him pleasure too than watching everyone carrying on about stadiums. Like he'd just be going, I mean, of course we want to have less venues for football. Why wouldn't we want to, more places for poetry slams and roller derbies? Like he just...
Yeah. Just one final word from you. You've been following this feverishly, the election. I'm saying maybe a narrow victory to the LNP, but only just. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. Look, if it matters that 85% of people haven't voted yet, unlike Victoria and all the other places where people get in early. Shooters are going to have a great weekend. One Nation's going to have a great weekend. And also there's a group that a lot of people are not paying attention to, which is called Keep Sydney Open. This is a bunch of people who are basically running everywhere across Sydney, and they're anti-lockout laws and all the rest. They'll probably get something in the upper house. But amazingly, they are not running a candidate in central Sydney where the lockout laws are affected because they've got a fair amount of support from good old Clover Moore. So dodginess abounds.
All right, mate. We'll catch you on Sky News. Thanks for being part of the fun this morning. Always lovely to talk to you.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for all your support for such a long time, man. It was such a great thrill to do it, and I'll do it any time.
Good on you. Paul Murray from Sky News. They're a very talented young fella, and, of course, he's made the transfer over that 15-year period to being a commentator that worked on FM stations and AM stations, and he's now a commentator on most serious things, still having a bit of fun, but we used to have a stack of fun 15 years ago with Love Muscle and Bob Carr and the rest of it.